Welcome to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed, the premier podcast for innovative growth strategies, hosted by two seasoned experts. Meet Evan Polin, the president of Polin Performance Group, a master in sales coaching with over 2 decades of experience. Evan is not just a consultant, he's a force in sales, focusing on mindset, planning, and skill development. He's also the co-author of Selling Professional Services the Sandler Way. Joining him is Craig Andrews, partner and CEO of Beholder Agency, an expert in growth marketing. With 20 years under his belt, Craig blends marketing creativity with strategy to propel businesses forward, making Beholder Agency a leader in effective marketing solutions. Together, Evan and Craig are here to share their wisdom on winning strategies, best practices, and transformative insights that will fuel your growth. Get ready to revolutionize your sales and marketing approach right here on the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed.
And welcome to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed. I am Craig Andrews, one of your co-hosts, and my partner in crime. No.
Nope. Well, yes, I am your partner in crime, but yeah, you weren't pointing the right way for those viewing at home.
Right. We didn't coordinate before the show started, so I was kind of like, wait, which way are we at with this technology? I don't know. Anyway, how are you doing today, Evan?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself, Craig?
Not too bad. I'm excited because, I've been out in the world using your sales process, out there talking to people. And one of the big questions everybody hits us with is ROI. But before we get started with that, why don't you tell everybody who you are and why you are great at what you do?
I don't know if we have enough time to get into all of the reasons why I'm great at what I do, but this is only about a 25-minute podcast, but I'll see what I can do.
Give us the best you can.
For those listening for the first time, my name is Evan Polin, and I am the president of Polin Performance Group. I have a sales training, sales coaching, sales consulting firm, and I am helping folks develop those skills or sharpen those skills to get better at actually closing business. So some of the kinds of challenges that companies, firms will come to me with is oftentimes the business owner who's only spending 10 or 15% of their time in sales is outselling the sales team. Managing partner of a firm is sick and tired of being responsible for doing all of the business development, and they'd like other folks in their firm to participate. For folks who are out there doing business development, they're going to networking events, they're sending out emails, they're doing all kinds of things and having a hard time getting meetings with enough of the right people from their ideal prospects. Folks are out there having lots of meetings, doing lots of free consulting, and not enough of those things are converting into new business. Or if they are converting, the sales cycle is taking forever, their margins are too thin, and they're not quite sure what to do about it. And there's a lot of folks who I help who have been in business for a long time, do great work, and just aren't getting the referrals and introductions they know they should be getting from their clients, and they're not quite sure why, not quite sure what that disconnect is. And in my training, in my coaching, we're working on having the right mindset to be successful in business development. We're focusing on developing that plan, and we'll probably talk about components of that today. And then we're really helping to give people those consultative selling skills that most people never learned in school. So they can be out there and really come across as true business advisors for their clients and really help to qualify or disqualify their opportunities as quickly as possible. So, Craig, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Beholder Agency?
Sure. So Craig Andrews, CEO of Beholder Agency, and we are a growth marketing firm. To put it plainly, we help businesses connect their brand, their digital presence, and their lead generation into one clear system designed to produce measurable results. Now, on top of what Evan mentioned, we're kind of the other side of the coin when it comes to business growth, right? So ultimately, we work with clients who are frustrated with their marketing, or they hate marketing altogether and they just don't want to handle it. That's where we come in. Because in a lot of cases, what happens is that most business owners are unaware or afraid or kind of what their marketing is doing, or it's off the handles and they're not sure what's happening. So what we do is we built it into one clear system that we can monitor with the clients and move them along into measurable results. I think that this works perfectly into what our topic is today, which is how to measure ROI between sales and marketing. Okay. ROI is very important. Evan, why don't you tell the people why ROI is so important when it comes to business development?
ROI is only important for the people who don't want to throw their money away, for the people who don't want to waste their time. But ROI, for those of you unaware, stands for return on investment. And what everybody should be doing, both from a marketing perspective
Mm-hmm.
and from a sales perspective, is looking at what activities you're doing, looking at how much money they're costing,
Yep.
looking at how much time they're taking, and then looking at how much business is coming in
Mm-hmm.
from those activities or from a combination of activities. If you're not measuring that return on investment, you could be wasting tons of time and tons of money on something that isn't converting into any business whatsoever. Or you could be doing things that in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. I might drop that. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to track it, that may be one of the most valuable uses of your time and money that may be driving a lot of revenue that you
Yep.
didn't even realize. So if you're not tracking, if you're not measuring, then you're going to have a really difficult time having repeatable success if
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what's working, what's not working.
And to piggyback on top of that, from a marketing perspective, what I would say is that we tell our clients to be very careful of that activity, because a lot of times they'll do marketing activity and it means nothing, right? It's not really answering the questions, which is what your sales process, right? You're not really answering what their pains are. So ultimately you're just creating stuff to create stuff, or you're promoting stuff to promote stuff without any real way of tracking it. And that's one of the reasons why working with sales and marketing, this is our pitch, right? Sales and marketing must work together to come out with that proper ROI, which is very important. We focus a lot on making sure that we're not just doing tactics for the sake of tactics. We want to make sure that the tactics that we're doing is driving us to a revenue or a sales process that leads to actual results. Okay. Very, very important. So when you're talking about, let me start with the marketing perspective. Sometimes when we run into people, they say, oh, I got tons of likes. I got tons of likes all over the place. All my stuff, people like me all over the place. Right. And so this, again, it's Evan's sales training comes into place here. And how is that working for you? How is that leading to your bottom line?
How much do you get paid per like?
Exactly. And so the likes is a metric. We call them vanity metrics, but we want to know the end bottom line. Did that like direct you directly to a sale? Right. And that's sometimes the cohorts in the marketing space, they like to fluff it. That's what we do. We fluff things sometimes. But the reality is that what we try to do to make ourselves different is we try to make sure that there's an actual transaction that happens with the efforts that we're doing. Tell them about the actual efforts of the closing of sales, Evan, when it comes to the ROI piece.
So with the ROI piece, fortunately on my end, from a sales perspective, it's a lot easier to track in terms of being able to see, okay, what activity are you doing? How many opportunities are coming from that activity? What percentage of those opportunities are closing? And then what is the average sale per close? Because the other thing, when people aren't tracking, they may be doing a certain activity that may close them lots of business, but it may be really low margin business.
Yeah.
It may be really low dollar amount of business, which would mean that you may need thousands and thousands and thousands of customers just to make a little bit of money.
Yep.
Where there may be other things that you're doing, other organizations you're a part of, other activities that get you in front of higher margin, more profitable opportunities.
Yep.
And if you don't know which is which, and you don't know how you're getting there, then again, it's really difficult to duplicate those kinds of clients that you want to bring in if you don't have no idea how you got there, or you're spending so much time, money, effort doing other things that are getting you in front of things that aren't the best opportunities.
Yeah.
And an activity that I have done literally for the last 25 years that I would suggest, and it may be a little bit difficult for folks who do a high volume of business in terms of lots of transactions, lots of customers, But for myself, for all of my clients, they know where every single client came from.
Absolutely.
So in my business closed, I have it attributed to whether it's a certain activity or combination of activities. If it's referral, who's the referral from? If it was from marketing, what kind of marketing effort? If it was from networking, where was I at? So that I can continue to look at, okay, what are putting good opportunities in my pipeline? And are there ways to do more of that? And are there places where I'm spending a lot of time, spending a lot of money, haven't seen any real return, that I may want to stop spending that time, put those resources somewhere else, because I'm just throwing good money after bad by doing things that just aren't working.
And that's kind of the foundation of everything that we do from a marketing perspective, right? So when we're talking to the audience, something that we start from a granular level is a program that Evan and I have created, which is a sales goal calculator called the Revenue Cookbook. And what I love about this program that Evan's kind of started and we kind of created from a technical perspective is it makes it very clear in terms of the goals that I need to do to hit my revenue goals at the end of the year. It breaks it down between rabbit, deer, elephant in terms of the different sizes of the lifetime value of a client. And it breaks it down into how many I need to hit my revenue. The key thing about this calculator that's important to understand is you have to be realistic, right? I had a client come in and we introduced it to them and they go, oh, I want to make $3 million a year. Okay.
And they did 30,000 the previous year.
Exactly. I said, let's be realistic here. Let's keep it real. Let's just improve upon that and improve year after year. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I put the link in that to the description of this video. So that way you guys can kind of take a look at it.
And the reason for that revenue calculator, Craig, I'll tell you something I get all the time. I don't know if you get the same thing. I will ask a client how much revenue they want to do, how much business they want to do. And they'll randomly pick a number, like that one client you mentioned, $3 million. Hey, we want to do $10 million. Great. Do you have a sense of how many clients that is and what that takes? And I get that deer in headlight looks, and it's like, well, no, I just want to do $10 million. And a lot of times people just don't realize, okay, how many clients? What is a small, mid-sized, large client worth for you? What's your closing percentage? And again, doing the numbers and having a number without having a plan behind it is only slightly better than not having a number at all. So you really need to make sure that you're not just pulling things out of the air. That once you decide, what your goal is, you do your budget. You then need to make sure that you've got an actionable plan to get there, both from a marketing perspective and from a sales perspective.
And where Evan uses actionable plan, I use measurable results. And they really is the same thing, right? Because what Evan and I are is that we are disruptors. Okay. We want to bring the truth through the numbers that shows you exactly how this process is working when it comes to an ROI. So a lot of times what happens is that in that proof comes a little hardship of you didn't do that before, you're doing it now. So a lot of times, especially from a marketing agency, they go, what am I getting from this marketing dollars? Well, your phones are ringing. Are you answering them? So here's the key part. Here's the back part of it where Evan says you have to be accountable for the process and the measurable tactics that you have to do. We're saying answer the phone. Answer the email, please.
Right? It's not that scary to talk to other people.
But apparently it is, right? So part of what we use from an ROI perspective is that we try to measure everything. The leads that are coming in, are they more than you had before? Are they good quality leads, as Evan mentioned before? Are they good quality leads, or are they just somebody kicking tires?
Right. Or Craig, I don't know if you run into this. A lot of times I'll talk to clients who are just comfortable doing certain things. I've been a part of this association for the last 15 years. I've gone to this trade show for the last, okay, well, have you tracked what you've gotten out of it? Well, I really like going. I really like the organization. At that point, I have to have a hard conversation with them. I'm like, if you really like the organization, that's fine. I'm not telling you to stop doing it, but it's not a prospecting activity anymore. You're going to do that for community service, for fun, for social outlets, but do not look at that as a business development activity because you haven't landed a client doing that for the last 4 years.
That's right.
So, but used to it. They're comfortable. They know the people. We go every year. I don't know if you find that from a marketing perspective that people are just have been doing the same thing for such a long time that it's hard to get them to break that habit, even if they're not developing any business out of it.
I could yell that from the rooftop, Evan, right? I think that happens all the time. And as I mentioned before, we're disruptors, right? We're being held to the fire of making sure they get results. And a lot of times that comfort is the burden that's stopping them from getting the more results they're looking for. And so we have that all the time. Of course, we have to find ways around making it work, but we try to rely a lot on the data to tell us what's working or not working. And a lot of times what happened is that people will not believe the data, which is a whole nother problem in itself. But that is part of the equation of the ROI. And I think that's important for people to understand as we go through it. So let's transition here a little bit into the sales part of the ROI. Okay. What happens after a lead is generated? Lead opportunity conversions, proposal to close ratios. Let's talk about some of that, Guru. I know you know about some of that stuff. How should people be looking at ROI from a sales perspective, and if they run through your process?
They should be looking at ROI through a couple different lenses. One, they need to be looking at, for the different activities they're doing, what is the value of a client coming in? Again, Craig's mentioned it, and if we haven't fully explained it, we use a hunting analogy. Rabbits are your smaller clients, and you should have a dollar range for what that means.
Yep.
Deer are your mid-sized clients. Elephants are your large clients. For me personally, and when I'm tracking with my clients, I'm looking at how much value that client brings over the course of a year. So if you have a customer, but that customer is ordering 6 different times a year and they're doing it consistently, well, I'm adding the value of those 6 orders together to give me how much that client is worth to me over the course of the year.
Yep.
So what I want to look at is a couple of things. I want to look at, once we start to have a conversation, and again, what Craig and what Beholder is doing is all of those things to get you to have a conversation, which means answering the phone, responding to the email, picking up the phone and reaching out. What I am looking at is the rate of what percentage of initial conversations turn into first meetings. What percentage of the first meetings turn into a qualified opportunity where it's the right kind of ideal client profile. They've got budget, they've got problems that you can help them with. And then I'm looking at what percentage of those, once we've qualified, actually convert into customers. And then for some, where people may be going to your website and ordering, this doesn't really matter. For a lot of clients, especially clients selling services, clients in the consulting space, this really matters. I also want to look at, okay, what's the closing percentage once they are qualified? What percentage is closing? And then the other thing I want to look at is how much time lapses from the first conversation to that deal converting, so that we can have a sense of, once things get into our sales pipeline, about how long should we expect to take for those to close. And the better that you can track those metrics, the more that your marketing team will know how many opportunities need to be thrown into the top of that funnel.
That's right.
For you to be able to hit your goal at the end of the day.
So I don't know if you go through this, Evan, but ultimately, I think that is there a chance that you've had clients, and tell me if I'm wrong, is there a chance that you've had clients who really don't know that data very well?
So the chance is only about 90%.
Okay.
That the client doesn't know the data that well. Every once in a while.
Wait. There's a 90% chance that they don't know the information?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So only about 10% of the companies I come across really know and track. They may know what their client is worth, but if I ask them to go back and ask them if they're tracking what percentage of their proposals are closing in the business, or what percentage of the first meeting, most of them do not have that number.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first exercises I'll do, is try to have them go through that pipeline, go through their opportunities to try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
The other exercise I will do, because with CRM, people are getting better at it, but they're still not perfect at it,
Mm-hmm.
is I will ask clients to go back 2 or 3 years and try to identify where all of their customers have come from so that they can see which marketing activities, which sales activities, which types of campaigns
Yeah.
led to more leads that converted into business coming in, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can again look at whether or not we can proactively do more of the stuff that works. And if we're determining that stuff isn't working at all,
Mm-hmm.
can we cut that out altogether and redeploy those resources, whether those resources are money or time, to do other things that may give us a better chance of developing business?
And so if it hasn't been clear on this episode, if it hasn't been clear how important the data is, and I'm going to use an analogy here. Most of us have seen the movie Moneyball, right? You all know, if you've been watching the episodes here, that I am a data guy. One of the things, I'm a big basketball fan, and a lot of stuff that I used to play and coach and things like that in the past was all based on the information. The information will make you more efficient. And so when we're talking ROI, if I know that I have those percentages and those closing rates and all those things that Evans mentioned, and I know that I have on the other side, in terms of the leads that are coming in, the measurable leads, are they qualified? The lifetime value applies to both of our sides, right? Ultimately, what we do is we have an equation here that'll lead to the ROI for your business. Again, if sales and marketing are not working together, you're generally pulling both sides of the cable and you're playing tug of war. But imagine if we both were on the same side going the same direction. Oh, my goodness. ROI is easy. Growth is easy.
One of my favorite sayings is work smart, don't work hard. So if you don't have this data, you can't work smart, and you're going to be doing twice as many things and super frustrated and not successful.
Yep.
But once, from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective, and then if you get everybody on the same side, if you've got multiple different people in those roles,
yes,
it's just going to make life a lot easier.
And so let's talk about some of the bad stuff. We're not going to linger on the bad stuff too much. But a lot of times, I know, tell me if I'm wrong, Evan. I know that you've had scenarios of...
Yeah, marketing's usually wrong, but go ahead.
You're probably right. So sales. Anyway, so ultimately, you've had scenarios where they combine sales and marketing. I'm sure that you've heard that in businesses. I've had scenarios in which the leadership is doing the marketing. And I've had scenarios where the leadership's doing sales and marketing. But it really is two different roles, right?
Absolutely. I find that in general, the skills that make somebody a good salesperson, a good business development person, is a completely different set of skills than what makes somebody good at marketing. So it is very, very rare that you're going to find somebody who is great at both sales and marketing.
Yeah.
So you should allow, and quite frankly, if you've got somebody who's a true salesperson and really wants to do well in sales, you are going to frustrate them by putting them in the minutia of doing the marketing tasks. They're probably not going to have the creativity. They're not going to be able to do that consistently. And if you've got somebody who's a great marketer and can run great campaigns, oftentimes they're not the people that you want talking to your customers, and you don't want them taking their eye off the ball in terms of the marketing.
That's right.
To go and do the sales things. Again, they're going to get pulled in multiple directions and ultimately not be effective at either one.
And then another point that ties on top of that, just to make sure that everybody's clear, throwing more money at a problem does not fix the problem. Just to be clear, okay? So a lot of times I'll have clients who come in and says, I want to spend a lot of money on advertising. And I'll say, okay, is your foundation in place to handle that growth? Just to be sure, because just throwing money at it, because I had a similar conversation where a client goes, I expected 200 leads a month. How many leads have you had thus far? 20. That's a lot. That's a lot of difference, right? And you're almost begging to get unqualified leads to your business, that now you're tying up these experienced salespeople with minutia that's not really helping them drive revenue to your business. So I just want to make sure that that's clear putting out there. What's your experience with that type of situation, Evan?
Yeah. And especially if people haven't clearly identified what does their ideal client profile look like, what is their unique value, what is their unique service, what makes their product different. If you're driving way more people in, but you're driving in the wrong people,
Yeah.
you don't have the right offering yet for those people, or you're finding your team's having a hard time handling 20 leads. Well, if they can't handle 20 leads, how many calls are going to go unanswered
Bingo.
when you
Oh
have
my.
200 leads? So you need to make sure that, again, everything's in alignment and that you've got the infrastructure in place
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that if you're investing the time, if you're investing the money, that those leads are going to be properly handled when they come in.
And so when we're talking about measuring ROI between sales and marketing, that is a major factor in terms of that measurement, because we're going to put a value to the leads that come in the door. We're going to put a value in the closing of those leads. And the calculation of the ROI is based on getting those leads and closing them. That's why sales and marketing have to work together. That's why sales and marketing have to work together, because I have to rely on your salesperson being able to close. Evan has to rely on good quality leads that understand what our business is about coming in the door to close them easier so we can churn and build more revenue that way. It's a very simple formula. Marketing brings in the work, sales closes it, and then now if you're pricing it properly, you are in a position where you're going to make money. It's hands down that easy.
Right. And there needs to be communication so that if for whatever reason it seems like leads that we're not expecting, leads that don't seem to be qualified are coming in, that sales is going back to marketing, sharing with marketing what's coming in, why they don't think it's a fit, so that there can be tweaks made, and vice versa. So they should not be siloed. There should be regular communication between the two.
Majorly important. So to sort of, as we close out here, I just want to tie the two insides together. Okay. From our perspective, we're looking at things like revenue generated for ROI. We're looking at customer acquisition costs, CAC. We're looking at lifetime value. We're looking at revenue by source that helps calculate the overall ROI. Are there things I'm missing in that equation?
No, I think that you've got a pretty good job, covering it.
Okay. So that's the type of stuff. Let me repeat it again. The revenue generated, the cost of the acquisition of the client, customer lifetime value. That's huge, right? So one of the things that learned from the Polin process, as I call it, is it's a very, we've tried to really drive clients to have reoccurring revenue. That really helps double up your business, triple, quadruple your business if you can really have reoccurring revenue. Right? A lot of businesses are still operating on a single line action versus the reoccurring, which makes building easier.
Right. And quite frankly, from a sales perspective, you should have a strategy in place to try to continue to develop more and more business from customers once you get them in the door.
Cheaper to keep them. And then the revenue by source. So that'll help justify the ROI when we have those ROI conversations. Final note. Whether it be sales or whether it be marketing, it's not an overnight answer. It's a science and an art combined on both sides, I believe, right? And I think that it's important for the viewers or listeners to understand that you have to dedicate or invest in the long-term movement of it if you're really going to have success. You cannot measure ROI bouncing from person to person to person. Very important.
And on both the sales and marketing side, oftentimes there's iterations. We may start with one thing, make one or two tweaks. What's working in sales and marketing today? If market conditions change, it may not be the same 9 months from now. So it's not chiseled in stone. It's kind of written in pencil, because from time to time you're going to need to make tweaks. You're going to need to make changes, which is why measuring all along the way is so important.
Absolutely. And technically, if you're not making changes anyway, you're really not growing, right? I think that that pencil analogy is beautiful. You mentioned before in reference to where did the lead source come in? I've been going to this thing for years. What have you really gotten from it? You have to erase that, make adjustments if you truly want to grow. And part of Evan and I's mission here is to find clients who are really interested in growing their business with a partner who's going to move them forward. Yep. And that's why our job is so difficult, is because people have visions and expectations. And the ones who are really serious about it will understand the process that we're taking them along the way.
Absolutely.
You had something you wanted to add to that?
No, it's just a matter of you need to want to get better and have a goal in mind. If you're looking for people to tell you that everything that you're doing is great and that you don't need to change anything, you probably don't want to work with Craig or myself.
Yeah. And we're pretty good that way. We're ready to say, listen, we may not be a good fit. That's okay. So to the listeners, a few questions. How do you measure your company ROI? If you hear this video, you see it, put it in the comments. We're interested to know. How are you measuring your ROI? And if you don't know the answer, give us a call, reach out to us. We are accessible to everybody. Okay. After sales, are your sales and marketing aligned? Hard question to answer, because most people say, yeah, of course they are. But are they truly? Does your marketing know what your sales is doing? Does your sales know what your marketing doing?
Yep.
I would challenge that if that's true. And what metric do you focus on the most? If you have answers to that question, pop it into the chat. Pop it into the question and answers and all the stuff you see this on. We're willing to answer the questions. And if you need help, we have access to the sales calculator. We have access to assessments and things like that that'll help you get a better vision in terms of how to grow your business. 26 is nearly over. We're almost halfway through. So if you haven't really looked at how to grow your business in an effective way with all the changes that's happening in the world, you might want to jump on that now. Because the world is changing very fast. We have an AI show that we're doing. And I think that if you aren't really paying attention closely to how your business is growing, you will fall behind incredibly quick. Evan, any closing thoughts?
And I would just say, I promise for most of you, your competitors are out there looking at how to get better, looking at what changes they need to make, making sure that they're not staying in their comfort zone.
That's
so right. Even if you're doing well now, if you're not willing to stay on top of things, you're going to fall behind. So these are things that you need to look at on a regular basis. Have these things, have them in writing, continue to track. And if for whatever reason you're not hitting your goals, that's when it's time to reach out to Craig or myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as usual, you can find our show, The Playbook, on all the major podcast networks. You can find our wonderful, beautiful looking faces here on YouTube. And we are on LinkedIn, and we have tons of people who want to be on the show. We are looking to find people to be on the show who are interested in helping us with our mission in explaining why sales and marketing is important to help people grow their business. Evan, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
So make sure that you've got your plans in writing. You're halfway through the year. Track to see where you are and make the tweaks as necessary, because you still have 6 months to make sure that you're on track to hit your goals.
Bingo. You heard it from the guru. I'm Craig. That's Evan. See, I do learn. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Keep winning.
Thank you for joining us on this exhilarating journey through the world of sales and marketing. Remember, the playbook is in your hands and the possibilities are limitless. Keep exploring, experimenting, and innovating, and watch as your business reaches unprecedented levels of success. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed on all major podcast platforms, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn for even more exclusive content. Until next time, keep hustling and keep winning.